Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to Writing Our Way Out, the podcast. My name is Dave Coogan, and on this show we explore all the conditions, the traps, and turning points on the path to prison in America and the way to be free. Today's episode, the problem with guns. Hey, some people love their guns. Guns mean hunting, protection, freedom, and even identity. Other people fear guns and they want more regulation to protect themselves from people with guns. Like so many things in America, we don't agree about gun policy, but we do know this: guns kill. Is there any way that we as a country can put down the gun? All right, with us on the show today, we have Stan Craddock, master gardener, journeyman house painter, and most importantly, co-author of Writing Our Way Out, Memoirs from Jail. What's up, Stan?
Hey, thank you for that introductory. I'm going to give you a sheet of paper with all of it, because I want everybody to have all of Writing Your Way Out.
Yeah, we need the full story. Yes. Also with us on the show is Farad El-Amin, a community relations officer for the Richmond City Police Department, graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University. Hey, welcome back to the show, El-Amin.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Yeah, man, it's all good. And making his debut appearance tonight on Writing Our Way Out, the podcast, is Darrell Jones. We call him Rel. He's a graduate of Henrico High School and a member and leader of the Life program at Bon Air Juvenile Detention Center. How's it going, Rel?
Good evening, Dave.
All right. A little framing. According to Richmond police data, 34 people have been killed by guns so far in 2021, which is up from last year. Nationwide, the situation is similar. Violence is up. In the first 5 months of 2021 alone, gunfire killed more than 8,100 people in the United States, about 54 people a day. Mass shootings and police brutality capture the headlines, but at the everyday level where we all live our lives, the situation is a little different. According to the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, Black males were more than twice as likely to die by firearms than white males in 2019. But nearly 9 in 10 suicides by gun in 2019 were by white men. The suicides outnumber the homicides. Nevertheless, tonight, at least to start with, I'd like to focus here on homicides and gun-related violence, which is something I think we all can get around as a topic, or at least as a problem that affects our daily life in the city. Okay, El-Amin, I know that you had a busy call today because we were talking earlier today, and you had to go down to Hull Street. Can you tell us what happened in Hull Street today?
Yeah, man. Well, we do what you call a reset. Anytime there's a homicide in the city, we, the community care unit, sends an officer out with resources. And when I say resources, information about places like RHVA or RBHA, child savers, anything that helps with mental health. And we pass out information, give people telephone numbers, and we go with faith leaders too, preachers and whatnot, to pray for the community. Yesterday, man, at like 1 p.m. in the afternoon, a young man, 25 years old, I believe, was shot in the head at the convenience store outside, in front of a whole bunch of people, and he died. And unfortunately, it's been happening a lot this year. Just last Friday, there was another young man. He was, I think, 30. He was found in the woods over in Woodland Crossing. He had been shot to death, but he had been there for several days. And the only reason we found him is because people were complaining of a bad smell, because, you know, a deteriorating body has a certain odor. But yeah, man, it's really sad more than anything else. And in my job, we start to get numb to it because we know it happens all the time. Like, and we have to deal with it. Our detectives, myself, with the community piece of it. but I don't want to become desensitized to it because we're talking about human beings. And when we start talking about numbers and stuff, I try not to do that because there was a name attached to this person and a life, or sometimes their fathers, their mothers, their sons, daughters. They were something to somebody and they're gone just like that.
Yeah.
And you said earlier, you know what? Guns don't kill people, people kill people. It's just that the gun, to me, is just, it makes it way easier. And that's my problem with guns in the hands of irresponsible people and people who don't value life or other people's lives.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, for sure. And that's what I wanted to get into
Mm.
is why people pick up the gun. Before we can talk about how they put it down or why they would put it down, maybe we can figure out why it is people are picking up the gun to do what they're doing. Um, uh, Stan, can I ask you to venture into that one? I mean, why do you think people need to be strapped on like that? What's going through their minds? I suppose it could be a bunch of different things, right?
Okay. Let me chew this up a little bit. Let me cut it up. Uh, First of all, if you're from an urban environment, whether it be Richmond, whether it be Chicago, whether it be LA, and you stay in an urban environment which is below the poverty line, uh, infested with all sorts of dysfunctions and negative things, it's actually a war zone. It's actually a war zone. Uh, Economics, people are robbing to pay rent. People are robbing to deal with their addiction. People, people need money. People have issues with anger problems. People have issues with growing up in a hostile environment. This thing is big, Dave.
Yeah, yeah.
But the common denominator is people. People. The reason why I would pick up a gun, because I figure that's the best way to kill you.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
When I rob, I could rob with a gun, but I also could make you believe that I had a gun because I knew how to communicate.
Yeah.
You know? The gun creates fear. Creates fear. The pulling of the trigger is all emotions. It's all emotion, Dave. And that's somebody who have exercised his fingers before.
So the question become why they want to put that fear into somebody else and what they're trying to solve. Jarrell, you have any experience with any of that on either side of the gun or just in general, just what you've seen?
Yeah. I got experience with both sides, and I've been shot before, and I actually my crime for when I went up to DJJ was involved in that. So I mean, me personally, how I feel about that when people say like be quick to pick up a gun or any that case of matter, it's all based upon on how they was brought up, on how quick they'll pick up a gun. Some people like some people was raised where they was brought up upon love. Some people was raised where they was brought up upon survival. It's two different things. Some people really had to survive. Some people really had to pick up a gun and they had to do what they had to do. So it's not necessarily gun violence, but it's just their state of mind, how they think, how people how people get it into their mindset of this what I gotta do so I can survive throughout the next day. Or this what I gotta do to make sure my family's straight. Because they wasn't taught anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jarrell, do you think that those lessons come from a certain place? Like the reason why you're taught that way is as out of a sense of need, or like the person teaching that is trying to help you?
I mean,
Well, where does that come from then? If they teach you like you need to carry a gun because someone could come at you and you need to be able to do this, they must be doing it for a reason because I wasn't brought up that way.
No, that's because like everybody wants a sense of power. Nobody wants to be a boss.
Yeah.
So if I want power, you want power, Alameen want power. But we all was brought up a different way, or we all was brought up and taught a different way. We all want to teach our way. Don't necessarily mean all of us teachers. Some of us still listen. But
Right.
at the end of the day, you're gonna want that power. You're gonna want to have your say so and something. It's just in our natural. That's just our body. That's just state of human.
Hey,
We want
can
some
I
type of power.
can I chime in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go.
Dave, if you grew up in a household that spoke Portuguese and you never went outside of that house, and the only language that you understood is the linguistics to Portuguese. Work with me, Dave.
Yeah, linguistics of Portuguese. Yeah,
The linguistics of Portuguese.
right. That's all I
So
know.
when you that's all you know. The gun in war, in a war zone, a gun in a war zone is the proper instrument to have.
Right.
You know, and you know, let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? They don't put no money into the playgrounds. They don't put no money into this. They don't put no money into connecting with people throughout the state. When they used to have playgrounds and recreation, they had kids in the daytime as well as at night. They used to open up night gym.
Yeah.
You give teachers. Teaching is not just in a classroom. It's the assembly of people. We all got to start teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, one of the things that you reminded me of is back to what Elamine started off with was that, you know, he don't want to go into the statistics of all these murders because he
Right.
was at a case today and there's a human cost to this. Like who was connected to this person who's passed on now? Who's their family? Who's suffering now? We did a show. We did a podcast a couple shows ago. I think it was like maybe the last one or the second to last one, and the show was called "Don't Shoot," and it was a similar scenario where Zane Tabe was our guest, and her father owned a convenience store, and a man came in and shot him and killed him. Now, she was young at the time. She was like your age, Ralph. She was 20 something in college, and her father has died, and now, and she's got younger brothers, and the family is suffering now. They got to step up and take care of the business, but they want to grieve, but they don't know who killed him. They
Right.
never solved that case. So like the case like Elamine doing today, like it could be that they solve that case. It could be there's closure for people, even if they know them. It could be there's not, but there's always a toll. So when you said like, what's going on in this assembly of people, that made me wonder, how can we get to a place where we all are concerned about each other in this assembly? Because I understand what you said about power, Jarrell. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. People want to have control over their destiny. You know, you want to be able to figure out your own solutions. But at what point does that kind of thinking give way to the other thinking like, well, man, I could make somebody a fatherless home now?
Yeah, it does, but I feel as though it's like you can't start from them. First,
Oh,
you got to start off with breaking down state of mind. First, you got to start off with you got some people that want to be manipulators, some people that's just real 100. You got some people that's going to be negative, you got some people that's going to be positive. You can't mix the negative and the positive and think you're going to have a good outcome. You got to get everybody in their own section first. Everybody got to but that's hard to do, being that the world's so big.
It
So
is.
if everybody thinking like negative, like, oh, forget that, I can just pick up this gun, I can do whatever I gotta do. That ain't hard. But you got some people that really think like, oh, if I do this, then this will happen, and it can end bad for me. Some people that actually think. But if everybody not thinking on the same page, then it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that.
Yeah, I
Elamine, what
like.
have you
Hey,
seen?
hey, Dave. I like this
Yeah.
young brother. This young brother, he gives me some good understanding. I'm learning something. You know,
Go on, tell me.
I'm learning something from him.
Go ahead.
So when you sow these seeds
Right.
of a different behavior, of a different mentality, or you got to start with young people. You got to start with preschoolers. You got to start teaching, right? What community is, what individuality is, what life is. You got to start teaching them at their level. And then this is the fucked up thing about the Richmond Police Department in Richmond, Virginia, right? Is that they aren't utilizing, right, peer recovery, lived experience. They aren't utilizing that force. There's more peer recovery and lived experience in officers. And if you want to send someone into the community, why not send someone, right, that they're familiar with?
Right.
Not to inform, not to do no snitching, but to start the process of recovery. You know, once you get a community to start breathing and start living again, it will rid out the heinous shit. It will rid it out. You can't stop dudes carrying these pistoleros right now. You can't stop them. They got them in their pockets. But what you can do is start teaching them that, listen, for 1 day, let's call a truce. For 2 days, let's call a truce. And if you use that pistol, because we know you got them, use it in defending yourself. You know, use it in defending. See, you ain't giving out the street rule, but you trying to control the street. But the street got a whole different rule. We out here scrambling. Y'all ain't. You know, so listen, I'm a passionate dude, bro. But that's what it is, man. We're missing the connectors, right? Like, Gerard, you a connector.
Yeah.
I'm a connector. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the great thing, let me tell you something, right? The great thing about me fucking with Coogan and me rocking with Coogan, every time I go further, I got to give up a friendship to get a friendship. You know what I'm saying? I got to give up some bullshit that I've grown accustomed to, you know, to get something better. You know, and I'm glad I met you today, because I had to give up a whole lot of different, I live over the north side. I had to give up some stuff. If I come up in the streets, I had to give up some stuff to meet you. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
But can I say something real quick? But that's what, piggybacking off what he said, that's just the way of life, though. The way of life, you have to give out something to get something.
Yeah.
And it's never just, you never gonna just incline, you never just gonna decline. It's always a cause and effect. That's just like they said, you gotta spend money to make money.
That's right.
So it's always something. You always gotta be. I'm not even saying you gotta meet them 50-50. You give 100, they give 100. It's always equal.
Yeah. It's karma, man. It's your energy coming right back to you.
Yeah, man. So let me jump in right quick. The thing is, I try. I try with just the life program. I try to get people like yourself, Stan, to talk to people like Rev and Herbo and whatnot, because I know they're going to listen to the experience before they listen to me. And just like you, Stan, I'm passionate about it,
Yeah, no doubt.
but I can only say it from my experience, and my experience is different. Like my dad is huge. He's a pro gun guy, but I found this gun when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and playing around with it, thinking it was empty. I didn't know about one in the chamber at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I find that junk in the house. I find it in the house, and it hit my door to my bedroom, and my brother was inside. So, but nobody got hurt. But that stayed with me for forever and a day. So I've never liked guns, and I never picked up a gun again until I became a police officer, which I didn't even want to do that. But I needed a job, and that's a whole nother story for another day. It ended up being a great career for me. I love this career. Here's what I think, though, in my opinion. The family unit at that poverty line is broken, bro. Like, the cycle, like Rel said, it's too late for some folks, and you got to start at a certain level, but I believe it's the family unit. If you have it where the mother is at work all the time, or the dad is incarcerated, and the son or the daughter is being raised by the streets, and all they want to do is eat, or their only role model is the cat on the streets with the rims and with the water cash, and a television is raising them too. And like Rel said, power. People like power. They like being respected, especially men. So I totally see you get that gun, people gonna do what you say when you say. I asked one guy I locked up years and years ago, about 10 years ago. Man, pistol whipping was running rampant. Like I was seeing him in all the reports and all of this stuff. And I asked him, I just happened to ask him, not to stereotype, but I got him for a gun. I was like, bro, you notice people are pistol whipping people more now? He says, yeah, he said, that's true. I was like, why do people do that? He was like, man, you get a rush after you pistol whip a dude. And I was like, huh? He was like, yeah, man. He said, the way people look at you after you hit them with that pistol, it's going to be different.
You know, I was at one particular time, right? I don't know how I managed to get in with collecting money. And I was paired up with another guy and a big dude, Gorilla. And we ran into the person that owed the money. And the big dude took total control. I think I was in training or something, you know what I mean? But the big dude pulled the pistol out, man, and beat him down. He beat him down. He beat him down, opened him up, opened his face up. Steel against your face gonna open you up. But he beat the man down to his knees, right? And then he pulled his dick out. And he pissed on that man. And I could see the blood. I could see the blood and the fucking piss coming down together, right? And my heart won't end it like that.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? My heart won't end it like that. But I didn't reflect that. You know?
Saying that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Just that image you just painted just now, bruh. If that would have happened to me, or if I would have been a witness to that, I think there's only two ways you can go there.
Yeah,
Either you're going to become that guy that just did that, because you got that anger in your heart, or you out of the game, because you're gonna be traumatized and you're gonna lose, either because now you scared, or you so mad that you're gonna do that to somebody, or you're gonna go get that dude.
Okay.
Because bruh, go ahead.
No, just I wanted to frame a bigger question for all three of you, and that is where that anger comes from. Because, you know, I understand the desire for power. That's an extreme case you painted, Stan, about what that guy did to get power or to perform that power. But do you think that these pressure situations that guys are going through come from structural racism in society? Like if you're always coming up against a brick wall, it says I can only go up at this high and I can't climb over it. I got to fucking get over it. So the gun becomes your way to get over it. Is that what you think? Is that where the violence comes from?
Man, I don't think it's one thing, Dave.
Okay.
The dude that did what Stan just said,
Yeah.
I bet you he went through some shit that we couldn't even imagine. For him to have that type of ill will and darkness in his heart to do some shit like that and just take that man's heart like that. My thing, and I'm speaking for myself, disrespect is the thing to me. I don't want to be disrespected. Like, and I don't think it's a man thing. I think it's a human thing.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect me. And God forbid, if that would have happened to me, you can forget about it.
Hey, look,
I'm going the other way. I'm going dark.
This is what Dave said. Check out what Dave said. Dave wrote me a passage out of a book, and it was about the young lady. It was about a group of ladies that had wrote their stories while they was in prison. And this particular lady, she was prostituting, right? And she killed this elderly gentleman. And she stabbed him. And when she was writing about it, right, she found out that what his story was going through the trial, that he had just lost his wife. He just ain't want to lay in bed by himself, right? And she said that she wasn't stabbing him, she was stabbing every man that ever hurt her. You know? It's our experiences, man. We got trauma in our black bodies. If we say black as one, we got trauma in there. Yeah. And the gun is just venting, you know, emotional anger issues, you know.
It's a tool, it's an extension.
Exactly. If we had a club, we'd be clubbing people to death.
Yeah. Okay, Rel, you wanna weigh in on that? Is that how you see it too?
Yeah, I'm gonna weigh in on it. I'm gonna like it's just like they said, it's based on experiences. So like I'm gonna give you a little short story. Alameen can tell you, ever since I was a juvenile, he always seen. I don't even seen Alameen one play that was Whisper Juvenile. Back to back, he probably seen me on every unit. But that's because my state of mind was different because of my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I never really had nobody that guided me the right way. All I had was my big brother. My big brother, he had real anger problems too. My mom, she never really like cared too much. Like she was more of a friend than a parent. But that's all I had. She was married to this guy. And yeah, he always just used to beat on her. So I think it got to a point I was like 11. And one day I woke up and they was fighting and he punched her in the mouth and knocked the teeth out. So that was my last time seeing my brother, my big brother. That same day he punched her teeth out, my brother walked in the house and he seen it and they got to fight. So now it's just escalate. Now my brother feeling like, oh, I need some power. So he goes to grab the gun and he kills him. Oh, and been locked up ever since. But that's all I remember. So me now, all I'm thinking is, oh, I ain't gonna let nobody, now I'm overprotective about it. Now I know that gun can give me power. I can do whatever. I can stop this. I can stop whatever I want. So now it was just a cycle. Now I'm just getting in trouble. Now it's always something to do with guns. That's what I seen when I was little, just based on your experience. If you don't have nobody to tell you different, it ain't gonna change nothing. It's gonna always be the same.
That's powerful.
And experiences is nothing you can't just say, oh, I forgot. I can forget about that. It's always there. It's done. It's the past. You can't change the past. You can only change the future.
Mhm.
You just need the right tools to make your future better.
Yeah. Takes a lot of strength to do that, and I admire you for putting that work in. That's really important, especially after all you've seen. I can't imagine that, man. I know I
Yeah,
don't
man.
hold a real gun, let alone gone through what you've been through. So kudos to you.
No, man. But that's exactly what I'm saying. And where dude, sorry for your loss, bro. But
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. But that's my whole point. You have that experience. How do you tell that? How do you tell Rel, nah, bro, no gun? I can tell you that, but that experience doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, people can go to counseling and people can have a change of heart in the whole nine. But like Stan said earlier, he's waking up every day renewing his strength. But he struggles with I struggle with what I struggle with. But like Rel said, I can't change me finding my dad's gun. And I'm not afraid of guns now. I just don't like them
Okay.
because I know how they are, how people can use them. And to me, it's just a convenient way to do stuff. But like Rel said, who doesn't want to do that for their mother? Who doesn't want to do that to
Right.
take care of their mother? I know I would. It's just that
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience.
But that's the thing, like that's why, like me personally, like that's why I hate the Richmond. Like when I say Richmond, like our support system when it comes to like juveniles that's offended, because like just like BJJ, I've been locked up 7 different times. My 7th time I went to BJJ. I didn't learn until my last time, and being that I ain't learning my last time, it's the reason because every time I was going to Richmond, I was getting locked up, doing my time, going home into the same exact environment, into the same way of life. They won't know no structure, no counsel. When I went to DJJ, like I actually went to court in August of 2019 to go home. They told me I couldn't go home because I couldn't go straight home and I was going to the. They told me the only way I was going to go home was if I started a program. So I had to go to a whole program just to go home, a whole 6 months. But Richmond don't have nothing like that. They probably put you in a little intercept youth program house or something and just give you a job. But they're not giving you no lessons. They're not giving you no counseling. So that's why all our Richmond, Chesterfield, and White kids, that's why they do the same thing, because they're going back to the same thing that day
Same
they was locked
environment.
up. It's the same thing.
Hey, but
Nah,
you know
bro.
what Dave read earlier when I was writing, I say they know our problems. They whispered among themselves, not allowing us to hear. It's education. It's education. You know, it's so crazy, right? Everybody's talking about gun violence, and that's major, man. Everyone is important to someone. You know the guns are on the street. So now you got to say to yourself, right? How do I integrate? How do I integrate something that could be successful for all parties? I hate to tell you, right? You're gonna have to teach people, right, how to use weapons, and not only how to use them, right, but it's also a course to take, you know, to deal with their emotions and manage it. You can have simulations. You got to meet people right where they're at. You can't stop someone from having a gun now. They're out there. But people are not putting anything into touching those or coming up or creating an avenue.
Now
It's
look,
like,
so Stan, I'm with you. I'm just saying the person who teaches it has to be the family. I went. There was a spot on Commerce that got broken into, Rental Works. Um, Young white dude. Um, he was telling me about the break-in, but then I was telling him about my daughter and asked him about his kids. He has a daughter. She's 10, and he bought her a a, a Sig or a Glock. I can't remember because he hunts.
right.
And he showed me a video and she's doing the safety things and everything, can shoot, dude. Again, back on it. He's teaching his daughter gun safety at 10 years old, and she can actually shoot.
Right.
Like, and I'm not talking about being irresponsible. They were out on some acres. But again, this gets back to what Stan talked about. That's money. And she's being raised responsibly with weapons in the house. I'm saying whoever's teaching that lesson about the weapons, it needs to be family to me. And if you ain't got family, whoever your guardian is, because if you don't, I'm not teaching that to somebody and you don't know me. I'm a cop. I come in your house and try to teach about gun safety. Or
Okay.
what McGruff or something like that. It's a cartoon or video is not going to show you. It's somebody who really cares.
Now can you understand why I say that ad-lived experience and peer recovery? Because they are the actual people who can knock at doors, you know, and do assessments for clinicians.
I'm with you, Stan. But I don't see that changing. I don't see that changing somebody who's gone through what Rel has gone through.
And
I'm saying start it at the beginning when they are 6, 7 years old. I'm talking about this is that, but not just weapons. I'm saying conflict resolution.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what
along
it boils down
with
to.
the other stuff.
Right.
And I think with Rel, as well as myself and with you and with Dave, right, we're all learning from each other, you know,
right.
to understand our yesterdays.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they only got to make sense to the individual that lived it.
Right. Well, I just want to tie some loose ends up here before we got to close out, which is that. No, look, you all are good on the topic of education, but Rel mentioned this bit earlier about what he came home to. And what he came home to was much what he left, right? And he described what's going on with his family and everything around the family. And if we don't know a whole lot about other than what he just said in a brief minute, but we know that there were pressures on that family, right?
Right.
The reason why, you know, his brother got that gun was to solve a problem in that home, right?
Right.
And that was a stressful thing. And now you had to witness that. So you're coming up into that. I'm asking the question, where is all these stresses coming in to these families? Because look, I know I look different from you, but I don't know if it's all about that, but I didn't have those pressures on my family. There were no guns to solve those problems. There was no need to educate me because nobody or any of my friends had guns in their homes. So I think there's something to be said about what are the social or societal pressures that create this need for power to be solved in that particular way. And I'm not trying to pin it on any one group or anyone. I mean, we're just talking friends here amongst the people we know, the situations we've experienced, but it's all over America that people feel this need to solve problems this way. So I think what I've read, at least, is that more gun violence happens to take place in poorer communities, no matter what the demographic is, because that's where people are struggling. You know, I didn't grow up poor. Maybe that's why I never knew people.
Nah, it's not even that necessarily. It's not that necessarily. What the problem is, it's not race. It's not upon it's not upon what you do. It's because of the past generations. The past generation before me, past generation before you. It's a thing called generational curse. You feel me? So if my previous generation, if they didn't feel like they had the power enough to control their life and do what they had to do for their kids, so they can show them the right way of life, then it's gonna fall back into the next generation. It's gonna keep happening. It's gonna keep happening until somebody step up and feel like they got the power to change that. But if don't nobody feel like they got that in themselves, then it's never gonna happen. It's gonna keep happening. It's gonna happen after the next.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you the first chance at the last word. Then I'm coming to stand after you. what would it take for people to change their mindset? What would you want people to do? Your words are gonna go out and reach people. What do you want them to hear?
All right, now that's their time. People, they're worried too much about what the next person has to say because they did that. And that's the problem. Like we don't live for other people. We live for ourselves. We live because at the end of the day, nobody that you talk to in your phone right now, not one soul is gonna get in that casket with
Ugh. That's really well said, Darrell. I appreciate that. I like the way you're focusing people on themselves and thinking about what they care about, not what everybody else thinks about. That's well
you. Yeah,
done.
because the goal is for you to be on top. It's not the goal is not for you to be on top with others.
Right. Yeah, because what's that? Yeah. Hey, thank you for that,
No
Ralph.
problem.
Stan, I'm coming to you next, and Elamine, I'm doing that on purpose because last time I came to Stan last, and you said it was a setup because you didn't want to follow. You didn't want to follow Stan, right? So
So
Elamine.
that's what I would be. So that's what I would be doing now. I don't want to follow.
All right.
Stan.
Okay. Well, then
So
you
let me go.
next. All right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, because
Go
I
ahead.
know he about to blow it out the water.
No,
Now,
I'm
right there, look, and actually now you got me
Feeling
following
y'all.
Rel. You should have let me go first. Because I don't. What am I gonna say after he said that? Nobody's gonna get in the casket with you,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
I can't. What am I gonna say?
man.
Like I
You
messed
you
up.
set me up again. So you set me up again. But, all right. So I think I want to leave people thinking about the family. I've always said that the family unit. And I'm not necessarily saying it's got to be your mom or your dad, but whoever you are breaking bread with every day, wherever you're going. And when you're being raised, wherever you're being raised, that love has to start there. And whether the love is gun safety or well, we're against guns, when you're teaching people conflict resolution, hey, you gotta be quiet. Teaching people conflict resolution and loving your neighbor and all of that stuff. And I know that sounds like some Hollywood stuff, but I really believe that, man. If you're thinking about how you are going to affect other people, like Stan said today, man, you crushed me with that when you said the punishment didn't start until you started to change and started to love, because you started thinking about all the people you affected.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, that blew my mind. If we are teaching our children, our brothers and sisters, man, think about how you're going to affect the next person. And yes, like Rel said, we're trying to get on top. We shouldn't worry about what other people think of us, but we should think about how we should behave in a way that I believe should be spiritually responsible, emotionally responsible. The whole do unto others as you would have them do unto you do. But it has to start, man, in the beginning. Man, you got people teaching their kids to save money, teaching kids to, again, back to the hunting thing. There are kids out here who can skin a deer. I can't skin a deer. I've never, nor do I want to. But that helps some people because people eat deer, and that's a good trade to have. It's not great for the deer. But my whole point is, what are you being taught? If you don't have a responsible adult or responsible person raising you, then you leave a society to raise you, and then it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. Whoever you fall in love with, whoever is your role model, you're probably going to copy them. You don't do necessarily what people tell you to do. You do what you see people doing, and you follow the people that you respect. And if it's the stick-up kid, the cat with the gun that showed you love, you're going to probably end up being a stick-up kid. But if you love the police officer, you might be a police officer. It's, I mean, all spectrums of life. It's whoever you love the most. You're probably going to try to follow in their shoes.
Hey, don't forget the English professor. You could love the English professor too.
The English professor.
Don't forget
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Stan. Go ahead,
Look,
Stan.
Dave, you've heard me say this, right? And all of us heard this cliche. that it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a community. Well, what does it take to raise a community? Because that's what we're really looking at here. It takes a corporation. And when you allow the casinos in, and when you allow Philip Morris in, and you allow Miller Manufacturer in, they're part of the community. And someone needs to see. I'm big on this knocking on doors, right? I'm not only willing to knock at the people in the hood. Hey, how you doing? My name's Stan. Hey, just give me a second. But I'm also willing to partner with people, right, to go knock at some corporations' doors, because you know our problems and you whispered among yourselves. We know the truth. We need someone to reinvest in our liberation.
Right.
And all of these, all of these different apps and conference rooms, only thing we got to do is just start connecting. I love the fact that I'm in connection with a good brother from the police department, and he turned me on to a young brother, right, that's growing in his life. I would love to see 1,000 men get clean, and we walk to Dogwood Dale, but we show some solidarity. And then once we get the people together, right, let's refresh the people. Let's give them something to drink, something to munch on, right? And then let's start interacting, start talking to the people. See, because if you don't talk to the people, then you'll keep talking to individuals. Because it's going to take the people to talk to the corporations.
You know, the three of you guys together, you're like the opening act and the closing act of a band. You know, you start with like the personal situation. Don't listen to your friends, listen to your heart, you know, and then you take it to the family situation. That's your next of kin. And then you take it out into the community and the corporations and the government and anybody else that is going to be looking out for the big picture. So well done, you three.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's our show tonight, everybody. I want to thank you, Elamine, for being here. Stan, as always, and especially to you, Rel Jones. Thank you for making your appearance with us tonight.
No problem.
Hey,
Right.
thanks, Will. Hope to see you again and meet you, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
All
If
right.
anybody you out there want to learn more about Writing Our Way Out, the podcast, or go hear previous episodes, you can go to writingourwayout.com. You can also listen to the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, where I hope you'll subscribe and leave a review. We would love to hear from you. You can email me from the webpage or find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The theme music for Writing Our Way Out, the podcast, was written and produced by my brother, Chris Coogan. You can learn more about him at cooganmusic.com. The show is produced by Rob Crocker, a PhD student in media, art, and text at Virginia Commonwealth University, and his faithful team of interns from the Robertson School of Media and Culture at VCU. Hey, thank you for your support, and we will see you next time on Writing Our Way Out podcast.